The teams have just emerged from the tunnel over to the right-hand side. We've got a bit of a light show going on before kick-off as well. The Glad All Over Crystal Palace anthem is now entertaining the masses inside Selhurst Park, and I guess that's job number one, Scott, for Aston Villa, to get enough control of the game that they silence these very vocal home supporters.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's a real compact, old-school ground here where if the players do play well, they really will get behind you. It is strange how the home form has been as poor as it has been, so there's no doubt about it. Villa will be, you know, saying let's try and play on that, but as Lee was just saying, Villa are poor away from home. They've lost 6 of the last 8, so it's a difficult one to call because there's so many positives from both these sides, and yet you can look at negatives and say, well, how are they going to do? Palace poor at home, Villa poor away.
And where will the game be won and lost? Where will the key battle areas be tonight?
Do you know what? Everywhere, Crookie. I look at Palace, they've got some really good players. You know, Jean-Philippe Mateta scoring for fun. Ebery Eze, for me, you know, he takes Palace to a different level when he's fit and firing. I love to see Adam Wharton back in the side, and it's really interesting to see how both he and Will Hughes have played together, because Will Hughes has been sensational, you know, this season, certainly from November onwards. And Max Lacroix as well, I think found himself, you know, adjusting to the Premier League really early on. But now he looks like the type of player that Oliver Glasner wanted to replace Joachim Andersen in a different way, but certainly very commanding as well. But, you know, you look at Ollie Watkins, I really like Morgan Rogers and Jacob Ramsey out wide as well. There's McGinn and Bogard. That's going to be interesting to see whether I think the midfield battle, who's going to dictate that with Hughes and Wharton and McGinn and Bogard, is going to be fascinating. And you mentioned it, 3 changes in the back 4 as well. So are they going to have that chemistry that you kind of want on a regular basis to know exactly how the other player plays? So also, Axel Disasi, I think he's liable for a Rick.
And also, if you're the goalkeeper, Emi Martinez, when you've got pretty much a brand new back 4 in front of you, does that make you feel a little bit more nervous? He's only kept 3 clean sheets in 27 Premier League games, Martinez. He's actually got the lowest save percentage of any Premier League goalkeeper. This is someone who's been crowned the world's best goalkeeper for the last 2 years.
Absolutely. I mean, look, we do know he's a world-class keeper. Whether he's the best is I think, is very subjective. But I think what it tells you is maybe he could argue that he hasn't been quite at the form this season of the last couple, but he could definitely argue that he hasn't been given the protection. And I think, again, we're just seeing exactly the same thing. It's almost as if he doesn't know his best 4. He's making changes on a regular basis. They are conceding for fun. If they are able to shore that up, I genuinely think they can finish top 5, which does look like it's going to be enough for a Champions League place. If they can't, they might just fall short.
Well, we are just about ready for kick-off. A busy night across the Talksport network. Chelsea-Southampton live on Talksport. That gets underway a bit later than we do here. It's an 8:15 kick-off. We've got matches on Talk tonight as well, and via the Talksport app. But for Aston Villa, maybe revenge on their mind. They were beaten 5-0 here at the end of last season. That was in the afterglow of celebrating a place in the Champions League. So we're expecting a more competitive game tonight in South London, and we are off and underway. Aston Villa all in white, shooting from left to right in this first half. For Palace, they are attacking the goal away to our left. They're in their traditional home colours of the blue and red striped jerseys, blue shorts and blue socks.
They weren't out with you celebrating, were they, just before that game?
Well, it was certainly a performance that suggested they might have been. Ball launched forward by Palace into the Villa penalty area away to our left. Emi Martinez, all in black, just bowls it out to the edge of the box, and we're just trying to get an early feel of the ball here. Aston Villa, remember, victory for them this evening, and other results going their way would potentially put them not just in the top 5, which should be enough for Champions League football, as Scott has already articulated, but maybe into the top 4 as well. They might be relying on the likes of Southampton to get an unexpected victory in order for that to occur. At the moment, they're just knocking it around. Villa on the edge of their own penalty area. Axel Disasi on loan from Chelsea finds Watkins, who brings the ball neatly under control inside the centre circle. And the white shirts streaming forward, but Watkins gives it away to Sarr. One back by Aston Villa and collected inside their own penalty area. McGinn racing away from the attentions of Will Hughes and playing the ball out to the left-hand side, and Luca Digne back to McGinn on the edge of the area, but he's crowded out of it by Wharton, the England international. Tillemans tries to play the ball around the corner, looking for Luca Digne, who'd stay forward, but Palace get it clear and it's out for a throw. 2 minutes gone, 0-0.
It's really interesting. Looks like Villa have almost matching up Crystal Palace and going 3 at the back. I mean, I wasn't sure where Bogard was going to play, but it looks like he's playing sort of left side of a centre half with Konsa and Disasi, who I don't think is a right back. He's better off in that centre back position. And then you've got Garcia and Lucadinha just trying to push on as much as possible. So interesting to see how that develops.
Yeah, Garcia just gives the ball away, and he's pocket picked by Tyreek Mitchell. Now Wharton trying to outmanoeuvre McGinn. He was manhandled by the Scotland international. It will be a free kick for Palace midway inside their own half. A reminder, the other games you can listen to tonight live and exclusive on the Talksport network. We've got Wolves Fulham underway over on Talk Radio, and also on the Talksport app. Brighton against Bournemouth in the South Coast Showdown. Chelsea Southampton 8:15 on Talksport, as I've already mentioned. Here is Disasi. He's going to knock it back to Ezri Konsa. Already Fulham have taken the lead at Molineux. Ryan Sessegnon inside 2 minutes. Wolves 0, Fulham 1. Fulham beaten by Palace at the weekend. Sliding in, there's Mark Gay, and I think almost convincing the assistant on this near side that it was a Palace ball. He wasn't completely sure. Throw in for the Eagles on halfway. 0-0 on Talksport 2. Villa have won only 4 of their 12 Premier League away games this season. Palace have picked up only 14 points of a possible 36 here at Selhurst Park. So what will give tonight?
It's really interesting that Villa, Unai Emery has decided to kind of
match up.
Yeah, match up. It's a 3-4-2-1.
We weren't necessarily expecting that, were we? But it is Bogard in alongside Konsa at the heart of that back three, and Disasi to his right.
I mean, I did look at the back three or the 11 players and think, well, Bogard, Konsa, Disasi, who's going to play right back? I saw Garcia's name. And it looks like Ramsey and Rodgers are just in behind Watkins.
Here's Ollie Watkins trying to stretch that Palace back line. He's stopped in his tracks by Maxence Lacroix. Got his Palace career off to a bit of a shaky start, Lacroix, but certainly is finding his feet now as a Premier League player. Wharton with his back to goal, put under pressure, right corner of his own penalty area, but does really well to bring the ball clear. It's intercepted by McGinn. He's stocky Aston Villa captain, and he rides a couple of challenges and finds himself inside the penalty area. We get a cross from the left, and maybe a potential handball there as Munoz slides in and makes the challenge. Well, at the very least it'll be a corner. Munoz is trying to claim that the ricochet was off John McGinn. Didn't hit his arm, but I think the assistant referee on this near side called that right. I think it is a Villa corner, the first of the evening with 6 minutes on the clock.
He's like a little Tasmanian devil, isn't he, when he picks up the ball, and the way he ran with it there in between the two central midfielders of Crystal Palace, then in behind as well, and Munoz in the end made a decent tackle. But if he can pick the ball up and run with the ball, it makes it so difficult for defenders to defend against.
You've got a bit of an issue here. Palace inside their own penalty area. Mark Gay is down and has just had to be helped back to his feet. The Eagles captain will keep an eye on his fitness. Do have Ben Chilwell amongst their subs tonight, who could come in and play in that back three. Corner meanwhile to be whipped in by Tillemans for Villa, headed away by Gay in front of the Holmesdale Road end. The Palace ultras all on their feet behind that goal. It's been a good start from Villa, hasn't it? Certainly in terms of possession.
It has, and I was kind of sort of thinking if a team matches up against a team who are used to playing that system and Villa aren't, then, you know, really Crystal Palace should be able to play that system better. But no doubt about it, Villa have been in the front foot, and territorially we've been in Crystal Palace's half pretty much the whole game so far.
And Palace haven't beaten any of the current top 8 so far this season. Obviously got off to a really slow start to the campaign, but have found a bit of form without managing to get wins against those top sides. Still Villa controlling the pace of the game. Disasi, on loan from Chelsea, steps over the halfway line. He was looking for Watkins, but the pass was overcooked, and Lacroix able just to make sure it trickles out of play, and it will be a goal kick for Palace. 7 minutes gone. We await the first goal here. A reminder already, over on Talk Radio, it's Wolves 0, Fulham 1. Ryan Sessegnon scoring early in that one. If you'd like to listen to Brighton against Bournemouth, you can do so on the Talksport app. We've got all 10 midweek Premier League games live and exclusive across the network. In fact, on Thursday night, West Ham against Leicester will be our 300th commentary already this season. Henderson takes the goal kick, puts it high up into the South London sky. It's brought neatly under control by Jean-Philippe Mateta, almost his first touch of the game, 8 minutes in, but again Palace can't keep possession for long, and it's back now with Martinez. In fact, the referee has stopped play because Ezri Konsa now of Villa is down over on the far side and looks like he's got a bit of an issue with his right foot, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We've not had a shot on or off target from either side as yet, but Aston Villa have had 71% ball possession. You know, they've come to Selhurst Park. We talk about quieting the crowd. You asked me the question, and they're certainly on the way to doing that, even though, you know, they haven't scored and they haven't had a shot on target as yet. But the way they're playing, the way they're dealing with this system, the way John McGinn in particular is getting hold of the ball and passing when he needs to, running with it when he needs to as well. Still very early days, of course, but it's been a very good start from Aston Villa.
Martinez goes long from the edge of his own penalty area, looking for Watkins. Maguire there ahead of the England man, and then Gay plays it out to Mitchell in the left back position. Little chip ball upfield that Mateta does really well to control on the chest. He held up the attention to Konsa, and then Wharton strokes it out to the left hand side and Eze, but the flag is up, and what looked a promising Crystal Palace attack ends with an Aston Villa free kick midway inside their own half.
Yeah, he should be looking across the line, really. He's intelligent enough to do that, and I can't tell you, Crookie, how much I think Eze is a sensational talent. I remember seeing him at QPR and covering the Championship and the EFL, and could see it straight away when he was moved in from the wing to midfield. And with players like him, you're thinking, well, has he got the ability to dominate games, or is he better out wide with the skill he's got? Well, no, he's not just got the skill, he's got the football intelligence, and when he is fit and firing, he's Palace's best player, and he's an England international for sure.
It was interesting, actually, when they had that recent Premier League meeting when the change to the PSR rules was discussed. It's my understanding Crystal Palace were the only one of the 20 Premier League clubs who wanted the current financial rules to stay as they are, and I wonder if that's a bit of self-preservation, because not just Eze but Adam Wharton as well, if he can get a regular run in the team. Gay, of course, whose contract is running down. 3 players that maybe could be in the sights of bigger clubs come the summer.
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, I just wonder, you tell me, you're more all over it than I am, but you think that's the reason why? I mean, it strikes to me is that Palace are quite happy where they are. They don't really get flirting with relegation too much. When they do, they change managers and they come away from it. And, you know, we know there's been problems sort of trying to get the stand sorted and getting more people there. I think they're just quite comfortable and not having the ability or the pressure to spend more and more money. And you talked about Aston Villa. Does that bring more pressure? Well, it would do for Crystal Palace as well as a club.
I think there would be some Palace fans who would say actually that's part of the issue here, that maybe Steve Parish is a little bit too comfortable with Palace's place in the food chain.
Yeah, that's my point. I think Steve Parish is quite happy spending the amount of money that they're spending, you know, selling their best players when they can and when they need to, and yet still not really, you know, being right down there. So in a way I'm not surprised, but in another way I think it shows a bit of a lack of ambition. But look, Crystal Palace fans, they've still got to be pinching themselves. This is as good as it gets.
Will Hughes, good ball down the left touch line, looking for the pacey Saar, but that was good defending by Bogard, making only his 5th Premier League start tonight, and then it's given away by Tielemans on the edge of the Villa area, and immediately given back to Aston Villa. And Morgan Rogers with a chance to come forward, plays the pass out to left, and Watkins, his slide raw ball forward, was intercepted by the flop-haired Chris Richards. Neither team able to keep the ball in this little passage of play. Here comes Tielemans towards the Palace penalty area. The ball just rolls under his studs, and that enables Wharton to get back and make the clearance. All a bit sloppy in the last couple of minutes from both sides here at Selhurst Park. 0-0. We've played 12 minutes on Talksport 2.
Yeah, but Palace need to get hold of the ball. They're not even looking like they're comfortable with it, and they're putting long balls up to Mateta, then the high balls, which means that any one of the 3 centre-halves can just get really tight and put him under pressure. To be fair, he's not holding the ball up as well. You know, Palace haven't started this game well, but they haven't really conceded any chances. I just want to say, you know, Crystal Palace fans should be pinching themselves. This is a golden era for them, for sure. You know, why not dream at some point that perhaps they can nick into Europe? But you know, this has got to be one of the best periods, if not the best period of it, the Crystal Palace fan in their history.
Well, they'll be looking towards their arch rivals Brighton, won't they, and seeing what they've done over the past couple of years. An FA Cup semi-final, a run in the Europa League, and they're very much challenging for Europe again. They've taken the lead tonight, Brighton. You can listen to this game on the Talksport app. Brighton 1, Bournemouth 0. João Pedro from the penalty spot, which is good news for me because he's in my fantasy team, so very happy with that news coming out of the Amex. 1-0 Brighton. 0-0 here between Palace and Villa. No real chances as yet, as Will Hughes gets involved in a bit of a scrap in midfield with Tielemans, but he comes away with possession, the Palace midfielder. And then the referee very belatedly has given a free kick. You can hear what the home supporters made of that. It was a big delay between the challenge going in from Mateta, who was having his shirt pulled by Ezri Konsa. Don't think the referee gave a free kick for that. It was for the frailing arm of Mateta on Konsa. I think it's a centre forward who's trying to protect the ball and himself and get himself between the ball and the defender. He's caught Konsa in the face, but there's not malicious by any stretch of the imagination. I think it is a foul, although he's given it as a drop ball. But certainly so he's given it as a head injury against Ezri Konsa, and the ball is returned to Crystal Palace and launched forward immediately by Lacroix, and then Munoz is penalised for an aerial challenge with Luca Digna. The Frenchman just wiping his face on his shirt. Has been a little bit scrappy the opening 14 minutes.
I think that's one way of putting it. As, the fact we're still waiting for a shot on or off target from either side, I think tells you all. But you go back to, perhaps they want to sort of copy their rivals, and maybe they don't want to copy their rivals, but I know exactly what you mean in terms of get up there, and Brighton have been brilliant, Bournemouth have been brilliant. I just wonder, looking ahead to the weekend, I was wondering what kind of team that Glasner would put out tonight, and maybe make some changes with the weekend in mind, because look, they're not going to go down. It's going to be very difficult to get in any European places. So that game against Millwall now at the weekend, and if they can get into the quarterfinals, if they get a really good tie, get into the semi-finals, I mean, what a way for the Crystal Palace season to keep going.
Here's Watkins, edge of the penalty area. He's a little bit isolated, but he manages to play the ball back into midfield, into Ramsey, gets it back again, Watkins, and then sprays it out this right hand side, and Garcia, the fullback, low cross into the area, is cleared away by Mark Gay, and out for a Villa throw. Both these teams in action at home against championship opposition, the FA Cup this coming weekend. Villa Cardiff on Friday night live on Talksport, and then Saturday lunchtime it is a London derby here at Selhurst as Millwall are in town.
It's going to be a great atmosphere, that. I'm really looking forward to it. I'll be here.
Yeah, we've got a feast of live FA Cup football over the weekend. Not before we brought you all 10 midweek Premier League games between now and Thursday night. 0-0 here at Selhurst Park. Fulham lead at Wolves. Ryan Sessegnon with the early goal, and it's Brighton 1, Bournemouth 0. João Pedro from the penalty spot, and Bournemouth beaten at Wolves at the weekend. And Tony Areola will be demanding a reaction, not getting one so far.
Did you tell him before the game that he was in your fantasy team?
Put him in at the weekend, actually. Scored at Southampton, scored again tonight.
There you go. You should be a manager.
Far too stressful. Much rather be sat up here with you, Scott. 16 gone, 0-0 between Palace and Villa.
I'll take that as a compliment, because I'm sure you could be stressed with me.
Gay's just been tripped from behind. Bit of a clumsy challenge that in many ways from Morgan Rogers. Free kick for Palace just inside Villa territory. You're listening to Crystal Palace against Aston Villa on Talksport 2 with Sky Sports. Don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on Now. Search Now Sports.
And look, you mentioned about how it's been scrappy, and we've sort of said not a shot on or off target, but I think first 15 minutes or so then goes to Unai Emery and Aston Villa. They have sort of quieted the crowd. He has changed the system. I still think that Palace are more used to this system and therefore should be dominating more, but while there's not been any chances either end, it's without a doubt it's Villa have been the better side.
Here's Eberechi Eze, stands over the free kick, 10 yards inside Villa territory, 5 or 6 yards in from this left touch line, right in front of the visiting dugout. We're going to play the free kick into the air. It's not bad delivery, and it's headed down in the box by Gay, and the offside flag has gone up on the far side. That was a really good ball in from Eze, causing a little bit of uncertainty, it seemed, in the Aston Villa defence, but they held their line well. It will be a free kick.
Sweet ping, wasn't it?
I'm not sure that Gay was actually in an offside position.
I think it was close.
Yeah.
I mean, he shouldn't be. Again, look across the line.
Yeah, we've had a couple of those already tonight. Mark Gay scored his only Premier League goal here at Selhurst Park against Aston Villa back in November 2021. He has got 3 away from home this season. With his aerial ability and the dead ball expertise that Palace have in their ranks, he should probably score more.
Well, absolutely. I mean, look at the 3 centre-halves. You know, they all, I mean, obviously dangerous last week, weren't they, at Craven Cottage? Mark Gay should score more. We'll have to wait and see whether he'll still be at Crystal Palace next season or not. But there's no doubt about it, set pieces can be an issue, like they are with Aston Villa, who are doing well in that respect, but not really well going forward or conceding too many goals.
Yeah, there's a little slip on the edge of the Villa penalty area by Garcia, almost allowing Mitchell to get goal side of him. In the end, Villa smuggled the ball clear. Conser being put under pressure by Sarr, and then it's cleared away by Axel Disasi. And Villa with the opportunity with Ramsey to bring it forward. He showed too much of that to Adam Wharton. Oh no. And then there was a challenge after the ball had gone on Ramsey that the referee has penalised. So it's going to be a Villa free kick midway inside the Crystal Palace half. Thomas Tuchel, wearing a Peaky Blinders style cap, is here tonight, having met Prince William earlier today. He'll be casting his eye over the likes of Eberici Eze and Adam Wharton. The reason you said oh no there was because Ramsey actually pulled up, didn't he, after the challenge?
Yeah, I thought it was one of those where, you know, he's twisted his knee or something and he would be coming off, but actually no, he's just been caught on his heel, which okay can be painful, but I don't think it needed to have that reaction.
Prince William, of course, a big Aston Villa fan, producer as he has just reminded me, so he'll be paying close attention to this one. 0-0 with 20 minutes played.
Do you think he told Unai Emery to go 3 at the back?
Quite possibly. He knows his football, in fairness. Here's Ramsey, seems to have made a miracle recovery out to Luca Digne. Low cross is blocked by Richards. And then Richards does well actually to make sure the last touch over on the far side with off Digne, and Palace have a throw level with their own penalty area. Palace 0, Villa 0. Has been a goal in the League 2 game between Cheltenham and the High Flyers Walsall. Ellis Harrison, after a minute, has put them in front there. Northern Ireland women lead Bosnia and Herzegovina by 1-0. And a reminder, in the 2 Premier League games that got underway at the same time we did at 7:30, it's Wolves 0, Fulham 1 at Molineux, and at the Amex, Brighton lead Bournemouth by 1-0.
You know, the interesting thing about when you are matched up, and it's almost then man for man, and you hear it a lot, win your individual battle, but if you're playing different system, then you can argue, well, that's not my man, but this is a individual battle here with these 2 formations being the same.
By Disasi, out to Garcia, and a lovely cross into the penalty area, and Tillemans, arriving late, has put a glancing header wide. He almost careered into the post after the ball had gone behind, but that's the closest we've had to a chance. Lovely ball out to the right-hand side by Disasi. Clever delivery as well from Garcia, and maybe Tillemans just took his eye off the ball, Scott, at the last minute.
I tell you what, that's a really good cross and an excellent run, and I think it's just a little bit too high. I mean, he can score a goal with his head for sure. He can certainly score a goal with his feet. It's a perfectly timed run just in between the centre halves there, and that's not an easy thing to do when there's 3 of them. And yeah, didn't quite get the good connection on that. Great cross, very unlucky. Closest we've come to a goal so far.
Well, Wolves have equalised against Fulham over on Talk Radio. João Gomez has made it 1-1 there. We await the first goal here at Selhurst Park. Emi Martinez, the Aston Villa goalkeeper, getting wolf whistled as he just takes his time playing the ball out from the back. Hasn't been troubled at all as yet, the Argentine World Cup winner. And Villa calmly knocking the ball around on the edge of their own penalty area. Bogard under a little bit of pressure down by the left corner flag, so he knocks it back to Martinez, who goes a bit longer this time towards halfway. And then the ball bobbling around inside the box and collected by the gloves of Martinez.
It feels like a midweek game in the sense that it's only been a few days since the last game. Was it one change from Crystal Palace? And the majority of the changes from Aston Villa have been at the back, so not really the attacking players. None of the flair players at this moment in time have really got into the game or showed, what they are capable of. Talk about Eze's been on the ball at times, but not enough. Sarr we've hardly seen so far. Mateta's not holding the ball up. Ollie Watkins, be interested to know how many touches he's had so far.
And Mateta not really in it either. They were both difficult games, weren't they? Not that Chelsea are in any great form, but Villa had to work very hard for that victory, and Palace going away from home in a London derby at Fulham, that would have taken it out of them mentally and physically as well. So maybe slightly surprising that Oliver Glasner has only made the one change, Wharton coming into midfield for Jefferson Lerma tonight.
Well, especially considering that game at the weekend as well in the FA Cup.
We welcome listeners from Talksport. We've played 23 minutes here at Selhurst Park. It's still Palace 0, Villa 0. Neither goalkeeper's had a save to make as yet. The only real chance, Yuri Tillemans with a glancing header wide from a Garcia cross down the Villa right. The visitors, Scott Minto, have had plenty of possession without really looking like hurting their hosts.
Yeah, look, it's not been a game of clear-cut chances or pretty much of any chances. Not had a shot on target from either side, but there's no doubt about it, Aston Villa, with their poor away form, have been the better side against Crystal Palace with their poor home form, and yet both these sides are really good. I think Villa have been on top because they have matched up with three at the back, 3-4-2-1, and they've had much more of possession, but as I say, neither side have really come too close apart from that Yuri Tillemans header.
Yeah, free kick here for Aston Villa. Will Hughes with a late challenge on John McGinn. Good battle developing between those two in midfield, but with 21 minutes the first half to play, it's still Crystal Palace 0, Aston Villa 0. Ezri Konsa is down, and I wonder if he might still be feeling the effects of that arm to the face that he took very early on.
Yeah, I think so. There didn't seem to be any reason for it. He's kind of putting his hand to his face and blinking. It doesn't look right, does he?
And that would be a concern. Ezri Konsa back in familiar territory, new and born and bred, not too far from Selhurst Park where we are this evening. This rickety old stadium with the steel roofs and the big metal beams that do make it a little bit difficult at times to see both goals from the commentary box, but we do love the old school feel about it, don't we?
This was my home, in inverted commas, stadium when I was at Charlton coming into professional football, because we were playing at Selhurst Park. The Valley wasn't the Valley at that particular time, so I've actually got very fond memories of Selhurst Park.
Any TV pictures you will see from that time will of course be in black and white. It's Eberechi Eze attacking down the left.
I can't, I've got no comeback, because you're right.
John McGinn with a clearance on the edge of his own penalty area, and Villa have got the opportunity to counter-attack here if they can play the right ball. Forward to Ollie Watkins. Digne making the overlapping burst, and it's a lovely ball through into the centre, and the offside flag is up, and the celebrations from Morgan Rogers are cut short. Good finish into the far corner, but it won't count, Scott.
Do you know what? It's really good play from Aston Villa. And I'm just looking to see whether Crystal Palace did try and play that line, and they did.
Yeah, it's just off.
And, and when you see that, and anyone sort of says they're lucky, they're not lucky. They're holding the line together as a three. Ollie Watkins gone just a little bit early there. Jacob Ramsey.
Yeah, it's Ramsey with a finish.
And it's a good finish, really good finish. It's what you're taught to do. Stick it in the back of the net and then look across to the linesman. But yeah, it was just half a yard offside.
Just shows you though what Aston Villa are capable of on the counter-attack. So much speed, not just out on the pitch tonight, but with the likes of Rashford and Marlon potentially coming off the bench as well. Maybe when the Palace defence is getting a little bit weary, that could yet be key. Certainly was against Chelsea on Saturday. Scott Minto's former club beaten late at Villa Park in what could go down as a priceless win come the end of the season for Aston Villa.
All right, don't rub it in.
It is one of only 3 wins in their last 10 matches though for Villa since Boxing Day.
No, it was a big win for them to come from behind, and yeah, it was a big mistake, wasn't it, from Jurgensen, but they found the way to get those 3 points. They're very much in for a shout with the Champions League again next season, whatever happens this season, and that would be an incredible achievement. It really would.
Here's Axel Disasi on halfway. Couldn't play against Chelsea because he's on loan, of course, at the weekend, but immediately reinstalled to the starting lineup. And he's carried the ball all the way to the edge of the Palace penalty area, out to Luca Digne on the far side. We know all about how dangerous he can be from the wide areas. But Palace have regrouped well. They've got everybody back behind the ball, and Villa will start again with Konsa inside the centre circle. 28 minutes played 0-0. McGinn's ball forward is intercepted by Hughes, and Mateta looking for Sarr, and Sarr drives into the penalty area. It's been nicked away from him by McGinn, and Palace have a corner.
Much better. Something we haven't seen of Crystal Palace so far, and hardly seen of Ismaila Sarr as well. Really, Villa gave the ball away. I just think the pace that he's got, it's good defending in the end, but at least they're trying to get a little bit more forward. As I say, territorially, it's been either in the midfield or certainly down Palace's defence. They need to get the ball further forward.
Ezer to take the corner near left-hand side as we look. The likes of Gueye and Lacroix forward from the back. Lacroix made enough of a nuisance of himself that Joachim Andersen forced to score an own goal in the win at Fulham at the weekend. Ezer with the delivery, and that's a good header out from inside the 6-yard box by Disasi, picked up again by Ezer. Ezer dancing away from Garcia, and that's a really good ball right along the 6-yard line. Any kind of connection from a Palace player, and Villa may well have been in trouble. Water back in the box, Richards with a header down, saved by the goalkeeper, and the rebound is in. It's Ismaila Sarr who gives Crystal Palace the lead. Martinez did really well to keep out the first header by Richards, but Sarr quickest to react, and Crystal Palace maybe about to change this wretched home form. It is the Eagles who soar into the lead. Palace 1, Aston Villa 0.
Well, it's a great ball in, great bit of skill. First of all, it's gone from left to right, and it's the first bit of time that they've kicked the ball towards the box. It's going to be interesting to see if Chris Richards is offside. I actually think Emi Martinez should be doing a little bit better there. I mean, he's free, Richards. It's a good header, and he's tried to push it to the side, but he's pushed it right into Sarr's path. But I think, again, we're talking about a world-class keeper. Is he the best in the world? It should be holding that.
That's the type of save that he would have made for fun.
Yeah.
Even at the start of the season, I wonder if that record, that lack of clean sheets is going to count against him and maybe affect his confidence. It certainly wasn't great goalkeeping. It looked like it was a good save for the melee of bodies. But Ismaila Sarr with a tap in. There is a VAR check here. There are Palace players in an offside position, Scott. Question number one is, was Richards onside? And number two is, are the Palace players who didn't manage to time their run interfering with the goalkeeper?
So I couldn't quite tell with the angles that we've got. Once Richards has had the header, no one's offside. So the question here now is if Richards is offside or not. By the sound of the crowd, it sounds like he was in line.
Oliver Glasner applauds his team. Crystal Palace goal stands, and Aston Villa, if they are to close that gap on the top four tonight, they're going to have to do it from behind. As Wigan take the lead against Huddersfield in League One. Dale Taylor with the goal for them. And Leyton Orient have had Jack Curry sent off. Leyton Orient going great guns in the EFL. 1-0 to Palace here. Ismaila Sarr with the breakthrough goal. It's his 6th for the season in all competitions. He scored his first goal in Palace colours in the reverse fixture at Villa Park. Here's Ollie Watkins now edge of the area. Palace fans in good voice all of a sudden. I think Scott Minto called it absolutely perfectly. Martinez, when he sees that again, is going to be really disappointed.
I just think there's someone who we know he is as good as he is. And I'm not saying that he's claiming, actually, with his confidence, he probably is claiming he's the best goalkeeper in the world, but he's right up there. You know, someone like that. And yes, it's bouncing just before he makes the save, and yes, he's having to dive to his left, but for me, that was almost the European style. I'm not going to catch it, I'm not going to risk it, I'll push it out. But actually, all he did was push it into the path of Sarr.
McGinn plays the ball back to the centre circle. Villa have had all the possession, but Palace with that sucker punch goal. It's the 42nd that the visitors have conceded this season. That's more than any team in the top half of the table. It's a habit they're going to have to kick if they are to finish in the top 4 or 5. It's Will Hughes again, he's penalised for a foul on McGinn. Those two are having their own private warfare, aren't they?
It's brilliant to watch, isn't it? It's proper old school battles between two players who are technically very good but are more than happy to put the physical aspect into it. Talked about how Will Hughes has done brilliant this season, and especially since sort of November time. I don't think there's any coincidence that Palace, the poor start they had to the season, the first 13 games where they were flirting with the relegation zone, and certainly spent a lot of time in it. The last 13 games they've been brilliant, and I think he's been one of the reasons for that.
So Palace 1, Villa 0 here. Ismail Assar with the goal for the hosts. It's 1-1 at Molineux. Wolves against Fulham. Ryan Sessegnon scored early for the visitors. João Gomez counselling that out for Wolves, who are in desperate need of the points to climb away from relegation danger. And Brighton 1, Bournemouth 0 on the big South Coast showdown. João Pedro with the early penalty in that one. They're not too far away from kick-off at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea against Southampton live on Talksport. Tomorrow night we've got Liverpool against Newcastle, Manchester United against Ipswich, Forest Arsenal amongst the games that you can listen to exclusively on the Talksport network.
Did you say Spurs City?
Spurs City as well, yeah. Save the biggest one till last, arguably. I mean, there are some great games, aren't they? I said to Mrs. Crook before I left today, we're going to need 2 TVs, we might need 4. Certainly a couple of radios to listen to the Talksport coverage. Here's Sarr trying to play the ball into the penalty area. Mateta is just out-muscled. He did well, Yuri Tillemans, just as Mateta was building up a head of steam. And here's Will Hughes now with that bright blonde hair, playing the ball into midfield to Gay. Palace spraying it around with a bit more confidence now, having taken the lead. Right on cue, Hughes into the goal scorer Sarr. He's onside, pulls it back to Eze. Eze with a shot that's blocked, and well, Martinez is a relieved man because he'd already started a dive, and then Will Hughes has conceded another free kick on the edge of the area, and this time it is going to be a yellow card for the combative Crystal Palace midfielder. I think Martinez might have been in trouble if that was on target from Eze, if it wasn't deflected.
Yeah, and it was definitely on target, and it would have been a heck of a goal. It was a lovely little ball just inside towards the byline from Will Hughes. Good run from Sarr, who cut the ball back. Wonderful skill from Eze, who just nutmegged the guy who was closest to him, and yet still was able to get the shot off. But one thing you have with 3 centre-halves, they can all get at you very, very quickly if you're on the edge of the box, and that's what happened, and got a deflection.
It wasn't a particularly bad challenge from Will Hughes, but I think it was just a totting up procedure, and it does mean that Will Hughes is going to serve a 2-match suspension now, that yellow card.
Well, that'll be a blow for Palace. I mean, it's great that Adam Morton is back and fit, but I suppose they got Lerma just to come back into it, but no, he's been brilliant the last couple of months.
Yeah, 10 bookings now for Will Hughes this season. It's currently Palace 1, Aston Villa 0 for the latest odds. Head to William Hill, the official betting partner of Talksport 2's Premier League coverage. Well, right now you can get the Palace win at 4-7. Villa to come from behind, as they did at the weekend, 24-5. The draw available at 14-5. All thanks to William Hill. 18+ gambleaware.org. Aston Villa have a corner over on the far side. They look to get back into the game. Yuri Tillemans just placing the ball down in the apex, and it's their turn to send the big men up from the back. to Sassi forward. Amongst others, it's flicked on by Luca Digne at the near post, and it comes for Sassi at the far stick, and just headed it down into the ground. And Munoz manages to divert the ball out of play for a second Villa corner in quick succession. I wonder if Sassi could have done a little better there.
To be fair, I mean, they did get a lot of numbers around Sassi, and it was difficult for him to get a clean header of the ball.
Big game in the Championship tonight. Stoke 0, Middlesbrough 1. Marcus Forss has put the visitors in front. Michael Carrick under a bit of pressure at Middlesbrough Stoke, and Mark Robins still very much part of the relegation battle in that division. Yuri Tillemans to play in the corner, right hand side this time. A lot of jostling for position inside the box, but the clearance from Mateta is a good one, sweeping the ball out of play left-footed on this near side for a Villa throw, and the assistant, eagle-eyed, is just making sure that It's taken from the correct position. 37 minutes gone. Palace 1, Aston Villa 0. Ismaila Sarr with the breakthrough goal for Palace. They've lost their last 2 home Premier League games in the hands of Brentford and Everton, but Sarr streaming forward over halfway again, finds Ezer into the penalty area, cuts it back for Sarr, and it's beaten away by Martinez, and then Sarr on the rebound has blazed it wide. That was a really swift Crystal Palace move. I almost wonder if the ball into Sarr came at him too quickly. It was an instinctive finish, and Martinez, right place, right time to get it clear.
Do you know what? There was a really good first shot. First of all, a brilliant counter-attack from Crystal Palace. And Aston Villa actually are very vulnerable to the counter-attacks. They conceded the joint most.
Well, he pushed it straight out again, Martinez.
Yeah, I mean, look, it came at him really quickly. Again, trying to talk it up. And now Aston Villa are going down the other end. And I want to do it justice because it was a brilliant counter-attack.
All of a sudden, the game is wide open. Digne crossing towards the near post. Watkins trying to keep it alive. He fouled Will Hughes. That's going to be a free kick for Palace. And the home fans are relieved. That's the area where they look like they are going to get some joy, though, Villa. Luca Digne overlapping on that left-hand side.
Yeah, he's got such a brilliant left foot, hasn't he? And at one point, with the ball that he put in and Watkins went for it, there was 2 Crystal Palace players. Chris Richards put his foot up, and I wondered whether he'd catch him and give away a penalty, but that didn't happen. But just going back to that counter-attack from Crystal Palace, it was absolutely brilliant. It really was, done with pace, and it started with Sarr, ended with Sarr, Eze in the middle. He struck it really well with his first touch, and it was a good save. It's one of those quickly. I think it's difficult to push it out there, and it came back at him so quickly that in the end he wasn't able to compose himself, and it shot wide.
Well, the applause you can hear ringing around Selhurst Park in the 39th minute is in tribute to the Crystal Palace fan Michael Johnson, who sadly passed away at the age of 39. And the bulk of the home crowd on their feet, still continuing to clap. Their team leading Aston Villa by an Ismaila Sarr goal to 0. And this is Adam Wharton, plays it forward, little flick on into the penalty area. Sarr back from Mateta. Well, you'd have expected him to score that one. 7 yards out, Mateta, and he scuffs it wide.
Well, Sarr just used his pace there, didn't he? In behind. What a wonderful touch from Eze. Just a little flick, which meant that it was just going in behind. No one's going to catch Sarr in that position. He cuts it across. And look, it looks easier than it should be, but actually it's actually quite a difficult one because it's come at you quickly. You're running at pace. You've got to take it first time. And you've also got to direct it because you're past the near post. But yeah, the form he's in right now, he certainly would have wanted to hit the target.
That was a lovely move from Crystal Palace. Those trio at the top end of the pitch, Sarr, Ezer and Mateta, all involved, all starting to ask serious questions now of the Aston Villa back line.
Yes, they are.
Ezer again dropping deep in the midfield, but from an offside position. Free kick for Villa, but the pass that orchestrated that move came from Adam Wharton. He's missed a lot of football this season due to injury. He's having an excellent game. He's a really talented player. If he can stay fit, he will be hoping that he can catch the eye of the watching Thomas Tuchel between now and the end of the season.
100%. You took the words out of my mouth. I mean, you know, he came from nowhere last season, didn't he? But fully deserved the form that he had with Crystal Palace and under Oliver Glasner as well, to be in that England squad. Not surprised not even sure if he had a minute, let alone certainly had few minutes, if any at all.
No, I don't think he got on.
No, but that experience for him would have been great. And then since then, he was carrying the groin injury. He ended up having to, to operate on it, and he's come back. And look, he's still not 100%, but we know he is a class player. And I wonder whether him and Will Hughes would gel there, and they certainly have done. After what was a bit of a difficult start, they certainly have done in the last 10-15 minutes.
I wonder if Will Hughes is going to be able to see out the game, though, having already picked up that yellow card. I'm sure Oliver Glasner will already be pondering what to do there. Here's Rodgers pondering how to get Villa back into the game. He's found Watkins inside the penalty area, cuts it back for Morgan Rodgers, and Aston Villa are back on terms. Watkins the provider. Rodgers, having started the move, continued his run, and he couldn't miss from 6 yards out. With 3.5 minutes to go until half time, it is Palace 1, Aston Villa 1.
Well, that goal was all about Ollie Watkins and the run that he made. and the ball looked like it was playing just a little bit too far. I wonder whether Dean Henderson actually could have come out. You know, this time it was Crystal Palace giving the ball away, but they've still got enough players back, but they're just still high up the pitch. That's the problem. So that ball in behind, but by the time Ollie Watkins took the touch, he couldn't have a shot. He's cut the ball back, which has taken not just the defender out the game, in fact 2 defenders out the game, but also the goalkeeper as well. And in the end, Morgan Rogers, a player I really like, he's passed the ball into Ollie Watkins, he's followed his run, and it's a simple tap-in for him. Game on.
Really clever play by Watkins. A lot of strikers, I think, even from a tight angle, may have gone for goal themselves, but he had the awareness that Rogers would continue his run as Unai Emery does a jig of delight on the touchline. It's goal number 7 of the season for Morgan Rogers. They are delaying the restart. I wonder again if they're just checking that Watkins wasn't offside when he picked up the ball.
Yeah, that is what they're checking for, but
to me, he looked on.
He was onside. I mean, look, it's tight. You've got to have a look.
It's Maxence Lacroix, isn't it, who's playing him on?
Yeah. Although his knee, Morgan Rogers, is...
I mean, this is minutiae if it was to be ruled out.
No, absolutely. I don't think it will be ruled out, to be honest with you. And I think it'd be very harsh in Aston Villa and Ollie Watkins in particular, if it is.
Well, they are having a good look at this. The on-field referee Sam Barrett is not going to restart play yet. Jarrah Gillett, the VAR.
Have you got your ruler and protractor and pencil out?
I mean, again, this plays into the argument that this is not really what the technology is supposed to do. But you're either onside or you're not.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm for this. I don't think it should take this long.
Well, I tell you what, it's going to be ruled out. We've just had the red line on our monitor. Sam Barrett doesn't know it yet. The Palace fans, some of them have already let out a cheer. It's going to be a free kick, and it remains Palace 1, Villa 0. That is so close.
Do you know what it is? And in many respects you can say that's really harsh, but I don't know whether you just stated a fact or whether you believe it, but I do. Offside is offside.
Well, that's a much bigger roar. Everybody inside Selhurst Park is aware now. Maxence Lacroix whipping up the Holmesdale Road end to our right, and it stays Crystal Palace 1, Villa 0. You're listening to Palace against Villa on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes. If you've got a plan, they've got a van. What's the plan now for Villa, Scott Minto?
Do you know, well, more of the same. And again, if they can try and win the ball in midfield quickly, Palace are having this high line with the 3 at the back, and Ollie Watkins with his pace, or you can even talk about Jacob Ramsey or Morgan Rogers himself, the pace that they've got. There is space in behind to try and take advantage of that. I mean, it is harsh. It was a really good run. It was brilliant play from Ollie Watkins, and it was a really good follow-up from Morgan Rogers, but offside is offside.
It's brilliant footwork by Rogers inside his own half. He had 3 Palace players around him. Somehow he's managed to squeeze the ball forward into Palace territory. We've only got a few seconds of normal time at the end of this first half to play. There will be, 3 added minutes at least, I would imagine, for 2 quite lengthy VAR checks. First for the Palace goal that did stand. Ismail Assar firing home on the rebound after Martinez had only parried the initial header from Richards into the Senegalese's path, and then Rogers, thinking he'd equalised, ruled out for the tightest of offside call. 4 added minutes is the decision. You're listening to Talksport 2. It's Palace 1, Villa 0. 1-1 at Molineux. Wolves Fulham. That game live on Talk Radio right now, and on the Talksport app. It's Brighton 1, Bournemouth 0 heading into half-time.
You know, you talked about those posts of the sort of old school there. The fourth official was right behind or in front of it there, and I couldn't see what he was leaning forward, and yes, it is 4 minutes.
Here's Mateta raiding down the left-hand side, trying to take on Ezri Konsa. Palace looking for a second before half-time, and Mateta plays it against Konsa and wins a throw high up the field.
The Palace just need to get to half-time 1-0 now. There's no doubt about it. The momentum was for Aston Villa, and that goal disallowed is absolutely fortunate. It wasn't as if anyone was playing for it. We talked about earlier on how there was an offside position, and the back 3 had a really good line. There it wasn't, so it was just literally split second. And for Palace, I don't think they played particularly well. I think they've been better in the second half of this first half, but I still don't think they played particularly well. So they can get in at half-time 1-0 up. Boy, will Glasner take that.
They've just got underway on Talksport. Scott Minto's old club Chelsea at home to Southampton. Southampton with 1 centre-back on the pitch, 3 on the subs bench. I'm sure that'll go absolutely swimmingly for the Premier League's bottom team. We'll keep you updated with the goals as they go in. Scott's a bit nervous about that one.
Well, they've got to win that game. If they don't win that game, then something is wrong.
There's another yellow card out here. Sam Barrett producing a second booking for Daniel Munoz for a foul over on the far side. It's a little bit late as he went in for the challenge on Bogard, but really sure that's a yellow card offence, is it?
Do you know what? First of all, I thought no, and then looking at the replay, I'm not even sure he's looked at the ball and has almost just run straight into him.
What have you made of Bogard's performance so far? The Dutchman hasn't had too many opportunities to start in the Premier League. His uncle Winston Bogard, former Chelsea player, of course.
Yeah, I think he's looked comfortable when he's on the ball. You know, I think he will be a very good Villa player in the future, and it probably suits the back three as well. It's not as if he's really sort of brought the ball out from the back and trying to start attacks that way. It's not as if he's had to make any last-ditch challenges, so he's been steady so far. I think that pretty much sums up
the game. Minute of 4 added on to go at the end of this first half. Palace lead 1-0. Mateta finding Mitchell. Mitchell trying to come forward down the left. Eze just pokes it back out to Mateta. Mateta's going to cross towards the far post. It's over the head of Munoz, but kept alive inside the box by Sarr, the goal scorer. Sarr's cross into a dangerous area, and it's hooked away by Garcia inside his own penalty area. Hughes brings it down the chest, and Palace ending the half strongly. A bit too strongly there. Ismail Assari gives away a free kick, and Aston Villa with a chance to clear their lines.
Yeah, just so important, as I say, to keep it to 1-0. I mean, Martinez knocking a long ball. I think he can feel they're very, very close to half-time, but there's no point in doing that. You're just giving the ball back to Palace and back to Dean Henderson.
Yeah, he literally kicked it into the gloves of his opposite number, Henderson, making his 50th Crystal Palace appearance tonight. Saved a penalty from Tielemans in the 2-2 draw at Villa Park. He volleys the ball over the halfway line, deep into the Villa half away to our left. The 4 added minutes are up, and there is the half-time whistle, and it's the home fans who are happiest. Ismail Assar with the only goal of this first half, after a mistake from Emi Martinez pushing out the initial header from Chris Richards. Sarr tapping in from close range. Villa thought they'd equalised after great interplay between Ollie Watkins and Morgan Rogers, who eventually fired home from 6 yards, but that goal ruled out for the tightest of offside calls following a VAR review. And Unai Emery with eyes on the top 4, Scott, but work to do in the second half.
Absolutely. No, I think his tactics were very good. We talked about how he's changed to suit Crystal Palace, and well, they've not been used to that, and Palace have, but the first 10, 15, even 20 minutes, I thought they were the better side without really creating any chances. But Palace not only not creating chances, but were quite poor on the ball. Didn't keep it when they had it, didn't look as if they were playing with any kind of intensity, and yet they just stepped up. Eberezer, they started to get more and so into the game. I don't think that Palace deserve to be 1-up. It's a sign of a good side that they're able to be 1-up while they're not playing particularly well.
I wonder if that very attacking Villa bench, Rashford, Marlon, Asensio, Leon Bailey, Ian Martson, if that might yet come into play in the second half.
I think every one of those, as long as he didn't go more than 5 there, I think he might just give it. No, he might even make a change straight away. I think they have been disappointing. I think he will also say we were very unlucky with that goal. I think they have looked dangerous with the runs in behind, especially with Ollie Watkins, but I do feel that even Morgan Rogers, but certainly Jacob Ramsey and Yuri Tielemans just haven't really looked dangerous going forward. And when you've got those options off the bench and those eyes are burning the back of your head because you know that they want to go on, he'll certainly be feeling the pressure for that. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone comes on, one person at half-time, but certainly 2 or 3 within 60-65 minutes.
So Crystal Palace, by virtue of Ismail Assar's first half goal, 45 minutes plus stoppage time away from ending their barren run here at Selhurst Park. Half-time, it's Palace 1, Aston Villa 0.
Game day exclusive on Talksport 2 with Sky Sports. Stream more Sky Sports football than ever before. Available with no contract on now. 18 plus, stream via internet, terms apply.
At Screwfix, we've locked the prices on everyday fan essentials. Like WD-40 at £6.98, a 100-pack of Easy Fix wall plugs at 94 pence, and a 200-pack of Gold Screw multi-purpose screws at £2.69. We've got your back with prices you can rely on the products you use the most. In stock and ready to go, saving you the hassle of shopping around. Order on the app and collect in-store today. Prices valid until at least 6th of April. Visit screwfix.com for T's and C's. Delivery charges and restrictions apply.
Want a day off deciding what to eat? Sit back, relax, and let us do the thinking for you. And the cooking, and the cleaning. From salmon fillet Mondays to fish and chips Fridays. IKEA family members can try a different £3 dish of the day every weekday in store. IKEA, the wonderful everyday. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Find out more at ikea.co.uk.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Sipping a morning coffee out on the terrace. Good morning, Mr. Squirrel.
Morning.
The kids building a treehouse in the garden.
I'm living my perfect childhood.
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
You don't just check in to a village hotel. You work out. You jump in. You play on. You tuck in. And drink up. Village Hotels. 33 locations with everything under one roof. A huge gym with pool and great membership opportunities. And a buzzing pub and grill with delicious food, ice-cold beers and live sport. Check out villagehotels.com and work out, stay, meet and play.
The season is shaping up, and whether they're going for glory or going down, it's all to play for. Get the ultimate football coverage with the Sun's free pull-out Goals! With the best writers pitchside for in-depth match reports, it's all about goals! And with unrivaled news from the Premier League to League Two, it has to be goals! Stay up to date on all the latest football action. Get your free copy of Goals every Saturday, Sunday and Monday, only in the Sun.
The new £5 meal deal from McDonald's. Get a cheeseburger or mayo chicken, medium fries, 4 McNuggets and a medium soft drink for guess what? That's right, £5. It's not called the £5 meal deal for nothing. From 11 a.m. Not available on delivery. Carbonated soft drink upgrade fees apply. Participating restaurants subject to availability.
Game day exclusive on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes. So if you've got a plan, we've got a van.
And here they come. What a magnificent sight. Yes, it's live British horse racing on the radio, and Talksport 2 have got it covered. Tomorrow afternoon from 1, Talksport 2 will bring you full coverage and live race commentary of all the action, direct from Bangor-on-Dee. Saddle up for live British horse racing on the radio. Download the Talksport app and swipe left, or ask your smart speaker to play Talksport 2 to follow all the action. Tomorrow afternoon from 1 on Talksport 2.
It's the totally immersive football experience.
And it's got in! Would you believe it?
The biggest and best football on the radio. Game night on Talksport 2.
And a lovely cross into the penalty area, and Tillemans arriving late has put a glancing header wide. That's the closest we've had to a chance.
Tell you what, that's a really good cross and an excellent run. And I think it's just a little bit too high.
Water back in the box. Richards with a header down. Saved by the goalkeeper. And the rebound is in. It's Ismail Assar who gives Crystal Palace the lead. Rodgers pondering how to get Villa back into the game. He's found Watkins inside the penalty area. Cuts it back for Morgan Rodgers. And Aston Villa are back on terms. They are delaying the restart. I wonder again if they're just checking that Watkins wasn't offside when he picked up the ball. Tell you what, it's going to be ruled out. It's going to be a free kick, and it remains Palace 1, Villa 0. That is so close.
It was a really good run. It was brilliant play from Ollie Watkins, and it was a really good follow-up from Morgan Rodgers, but offside is offside.
Offside is offside, as Scott Minto correctly called there. So Crystal Palace leading Villa by a goal to nil. Ismail Assar scoring it. Elsewhere, half-time, Brighton 1, Bournemouth 0. João Pedro with the early penalty for the home side. It's Wolves 1, Fulham 1 at Molineux. Fulham taking the lead, courtesy of Ryan Sessegnon after 2 minutes. João Gomez equalising for the host there. 8 minutes in at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 0, Bottom Club Southampton 0. And in the Championship tonight, some big games affecting both ends of the table. Cardiff 0, Hull 0. That's a bit of a relegation 6-pointer. Stoke 0, Middlesbrough 1. Middlesbrough in need of victory to get their playoff push back on course. Stoke still looking nervously over their shoulders. In League One, it's Birmingham 0, Leyton Orient 0 in the battle of two promotion hopefuls. Northampton 0, Barnsley 1. Wigan lead Huddersfield by a goal to 0. And in League 2 tonight, Bromley 0, Bradford 0, Cheltenham 0, Walsall 1, Gillingham lead Fleetwood 1-0, and it's still Tranmere 0, Accrington Stanley 0. Now the live Premier League action continues this week on the Talksport network as Arsenal look to bounce back in the title race after more drop points at the weekend, and they face a stern test against Nottingham Forest tomorrow night, with Gunners boss Mikel Arteta still hopeful of closing the gap on league leaders Liverpool.
In the previous 15 games, so we have won 10 and draw 5, exactly the same as Liverpool, with exactly the same goal difference, which is plus 23. So we've been extremely consistent for the last 3.5 months, considering everything that we've been through, and we have generated that momentum. And it was that weekend where we have to do what we have to do again, once more, nothing different to the previous 15. And we got that defeat, and on top of that, they win. So when you are trying to build that momentum, and we put in so much into it, especially with the circumstances that we have, it was a very hard one to take. The reality is there's so many games to play, and you have to get back to it, and we have the levels and the consistency and the hunger to go again, and that's what we're going to do on Wednesday.
Over my dead body, said Mikel Arteta when asked by Talksport today if the title race was over. Is it, Scott?
Do you want a short answer? The thing is, one, I don't see Liverpool dropping as many points as they need to, and two, I don't see Arsenal winning every game from here on in, which is pretty much what they need to. And even if it was level, you obviously wouldn't say it was over. But I don't know many people, unless you're the most ardent Arsenal fan, to say that what we've seen so far, and we therefore can base our guesstimates between now and the end of the season, that you wouldn't bet on Liverpool going forward. So it's going to be difficult, but it's absolutely the right thing to say. What do we expect him to say? No, yeah, it's over. There's no point in trying. What's the point? So he has to drill into his players that we need to go right to the end of the season, and you never know what can happen. But anyway, you're playing for the badge of Arsenal Football Club, so no, never give up.
Well, the issue they've got as well, Arsenal, 7 of Liverpool's final 12 Premier League games are at Anfield, including tomorrow night. Liverpool-Newcastle is live on Talk Radio, live on Talksport. Forest Arsenal, Adrian Durham will be there, Joe Shannon and the former England striker Dean Ashton, your commentary team here on Talksport 2 from 7:30 tomorrow. We'll be in North London as Spurs welcome Manchester City, a game that's provided plenty of excitement in years gone by. And ahead of the game, Talksport's Ollie Klink sat down with Spurs defender Archie Gray.
Archie, it's been 3 league wins in a row after last weekend. How much has the mood around the Tottenham camp been lifted?
Definitely changes the mood when you get in the wins and stuff like that. It's the best feeling in football, but you know, we're hopefully getting on the right side of this difficult moment, and you know, we're just working hard every day to focus on the next game. But yeah, like you said, it's obviously a massive thing to get the wins. So yeah.
Yeah, we've seen the return of some big players from injury, some new faces in the squad. How much do you think that's helped you get back on track?
Always a massive help and massive positive when, you know, the injured players are always coming back. They bring a different energy and into training as well. You know, they help the players out and, you know, bring a different spark into training in the matches. It's always good when, you know you've got strong players coming off the bench every game, and it brings a different aspect to the game. And you know, especially if you're struggling in the 60th minute, you know, and under pressure and stuff like that, and you've got the players that we do to bring on the pitch, it's, you know, it helps us massively.
In terms of you this season, you've played many different positions, often out of necessity, mainly at centre-back though. How have you found playing in that role?
It's obviously been different for me, but I'm grateful that the manager's, you know, he's trusted me and I'll do everything to work my hardest, you know, for the team, for the manager, for the club and for the fans, everything like that. But I'm enjoying it at the moment, and, you know, to be playing next to the likes of Kevin, Ben, Radu. I think I played next to Cootie in one game and Mickey, and, you know, they're all top class players, and, you know, playing next to them, being a centre back is, you know, it's a different experience, but I'm definitely grateful for it, and like I said, I'm enjoying it at the moment.
It's difficult enough, I think, in a Premier League team to cover at centre-back, but in an Ange Postecoglou team, what's it like to play in that position, especially defensively?
In any team, a centre-back who's not played centre-back before would obviously have different challenges, and, you know, the system that we play is brilliant, and we all enjoy it, and we believe in it 100%, and you could say it's attacking football, and, you know, we like to bring a good game, and I think the main thing is just, you know, not thinking about it too much, and just ultimately it's a game of football, and it doesn't really matter where you play on the pitch, because, like I said, it's a game of football, and it's 1v1 all over the pitch, and, you know, that's the main thing, and just trusting in yourself and trusting in the system that we play in 100%, which we do, and we believe in our system and the manager as well, and all the coaching staff, which, you know, it makes a difference in our games.
That was Archie Gray looking ahead to Tottenham against Manchester City, live on Talksport 2 tomorrow night. Nigel Adley and the former Chelsea defender Scott Minto alongside me here at Selhurst Park this evening, your commentary team for that game. And it's a fixture in which Manchester City, Scott, have struggled in recent seasons.
Absolutely, and it's a fixture that need to start winning. I mean, they were really poor at the weekend, weren't they? Or should we turn around and say they come up against a side where they actually had no chance of winning, and you don't expect that from a Manchester City side. And just when you think they're willing to, or they're able and they're going to go again, they have a setback. And look, they won't have a mental thing about going to Spurs, but Spurs will definitely think that this is a vulnerable City side, so why not go for it? It's a fascinating game. I think there's goals both ends for sure.
Yeah, some brilliant games tomorrow night. 5 in total from the Premier League across the Talksport network. Forest Arsenal live on Talksport, 7:30 kickoff. Same time here on Talksport 2. Spurs Man City, 8:15. This one is live and exclusive on Talk Radio. Liverpool Newcastle. What a blockbuster game that could be. At 7:30 on the Talksport app. Manchester United against Ipswich in a bit of a relegation 6-pointer at Old Trafford, and Brentford Everton at the same time. Both those games are available on the Talksport app. There's been an equaliser in the Championship game tonight. Stoke 1, Middlesbrough 1. Leon Bailey, Scott, is going to come on for Aston Villa. Of all the substitutes they've got tonight, I didn't necessarily have him at the top of the list to be first on.
No.
Garcia is replaced, so maybe a change of system from Unai Emery.
I think there's every chance of that, and we know that Leon Bailey likes to come in from the right-hand side onto his left foot, but then so too Marco Asensio. So in one sense you can understand Marcus Rashford not coming on. Maybe he'd prefer coming in off the left, but my goodness, Cookie, I mean, players only play with sort of one position, or they're not comfortable playing on the other side. A right-footed player not comfortable playing on right wing, and I'm not saying that's the case in Marcus Rashford, but people are thinking now he's on the left, Asensio on the right, but so too Leon Bailey, and he's had his injury problems this season. I do think he's a really good player when fit, and he's just not been fit enough.
And I think what we're going to see now is Ezri Konsa is going to shift across to right back. Bogard and Disassi in the centre of a 4-man Villa defence. They were playing a back 3. Digne is going to be the left back. McGinn and Tillemans in midfield. And then Rodgers, Ramsey and Bailey in behind Watkins up front. Now, how you see it, Scott?
Yeah, I do. And I think he had to do something. You know, it's obviously made a change in personnel. He's also made a tweak to the system. As we said, at the first 10-15 minutes, they actually did really well.
I wonder if they're going to have to change their goalkeeper here as well, because Emi Martinez has not come back out, I don't think. Unless he's hiding behind that pillar. And I just saw that Robin Olsen, the substitute goalkeeper, is being readied. So it's going to be a double half-time change.
That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, and he is. He's coming off the bench, which, I mean, it's obviously enforced. You don't make that unless you really have to, but it's obviously a very much a last-minute thing, because as they were walking out, you know, why would Olsen not be ready?
Yeah, that is an odd situation, certainly in terms of timing. Martinez didn't cover himself in glory for the Palace goal, the one that separates the two at half-time, scored by Ismaila Sarr on the rebound, but this is clearly an enforced alteration. The last time Robin Olsen started a Premier League game, it was here at Selhurst Park, last day of last season. They lost 5-0, Villa.
Ooh. He really had a night out with you, didn't he?
So 2 changes for Villa. Palace, unsurprisingly, send out the same 11 that started the game. It will be the home side in their red and blue striped jerseys to get us underway. Blue shorts, blue socks, shooting left to right towards the Holmesdale Road end of the ground. Villa all in white, attacking the goal away to our left, and straight away Adam Wharton, who I thought had a brilliant first half, picks out the run of Mitchell down the Palace left, and Mitchell is trying to get into a crossing position. Well won back by Bailey for Villa, and Watkins immediately releasing Ramsey down the left. And now Digne on the overlap. 1-0 Palace, early stage of the second half. Digne with a cross straight into the arms of Henderson. He's the Palace goalkeeper. Back 3 of Richards, Lacroix and Gay. Munoz and Mitchell, the wing-backs. Hughes and Wharton in midfield. Sarr and Ezer alongside Mateta in attack. For Villa now, Olsen replacing the presumably injured Martinez at half-time as the keeper. Konsa, Bogard, Disasi and Digne in what looks a real makeshift back 4 now. McGinn and Tillemans deepest in midfield. Rogers, Bailey and Ramsey in behind Ollie Watkins in a very attack-minded front 4. Front 5 really, if you include Tillemans.
Yeah, he'd certainly be looking to push on as much as possible.
Palace looking to push on in search of a second goal. The ball is crossed by Mitchell on the left-hand side, blocked behind, and out for a corner off Leon Bailey.
Well, what I would say is, if you've got McGinn as your not one and only holding midfielder, because he'll certainly need Tillemans. But if Tillemans has gone forward, then I do think they'll be vulnerable on the counter-attack. I already said about how they have conceded the joint most goals on the counter in the Premier League.
Let me know if one of those Palace players behind a post gets a head on this. Bailey with the corner. Whipped into the near post, and it's... Ezer with the corner, it's headed away by Bailey. Bouncing around the ball on the edge of the Villa area. Will come for Ezer. Left-footed volley over the bar. And a goal kick for Aston Villa.
But he just needed to wait an extra half a second, and for someone like him who's got so much composure, he did have the time to do it, so I'm surprised that he kind of took it so early. Yeah, it's on his left foot. I think he's just snatched it there. It's one of those where it's on your wrong foot, you decide you're going to shoot, wait for it to come, make sure you hit the target, even if you take a little bit off it. Yeah, that went high, wide and not so handsome.
Yeah, Thomas Tuchel in conversation with the Palace owner Steve Parish, maybe just discussing that shot over the bar from one of his potential players.
Yeah, he's saying he's better than that, Thomas, I promise you.
Well, it doesn't do Steve Parish any harm getting his players in the England squad in terms of raising their market value. 3 minutes gone in the second half. It's still Palace 1, Villa 0. Just looking down at my stat sheet, Leon Bailey's got 1 goal in his last 24 Premier League games.
Yeah, it's been very stop-start, hasn't it? And it's not easy when you're picking up injuries all the time. And we talk about games. I wonder how many minutes he's actually had there. And when we're coming off the bench or not lasting the 90 minutes, he needs to stay fit first and foremost. But we talk about Aston Villa and the sort of firepower they got. It can't be long before Rashford and Asensio come on as well.
Wharton plays the ball out to the overlapping Munoz. Socks rolled down to the Colombian's ankles. He plays it back into his own half of the field, and Richard. Still no goals over on Talksport. Chelsea 0, Southampton 0. They've played 20 minutes there.
Don't give me that look.
In fact, Nkunku has just put Chelsea in front, Scott Minto. Chelsea 1, Southampton 0.
Great timing, Alex Crook. Did you have him in your fantasy team?
Unfortunately not. Cole Palmer is captain, so I was hoping he might do bits this evening. Throw in for Palace on the left-hand side, taken quickly by Mitchell into Ezer. He's got Mateta and Sarr in the centre. He might just go alone here, Ezer. He did so, and he was stopped in his tracks on the edge of the box by Tillemans, and then goes down under the challenge from McGinn. This is a free kick within shooting range.
That's a really dangerous position as well. Got 20 yards out, just a little bit left of centre. And Tillemans initially made a really good tackle because Eze wanted to come inside and he could have had a shot or laid it off to Sarr. He made the tackle and then the ball was bouncing around and McGinn has just died in there where he really doesn't need to. He's your captain, he's your leader, his experience. He shouldn't be making a tackle there. And, one great strike and suddenly they're They're 2 goals away from getting anything out of this game.
Brilliant atmosphere now inside Selhurst Park. 5 minutes gone in the second half, live on Talksport 2. Palace 1-0 up here against Aston Villa. And a free kick that Ezer is sizing up. 5 yards outside the box to the left of centre. Robin Olsen, the replacement goalkeeper, on at half-time in place of the injured Martinez, is crouching down in the centre of his goal. Ezer, such a good technician from these set pieces. 6 goals already to his name this season. Can he add to that tally? Will Hughes is showing interest as well, but I'm convinced it's going to be Ezer coming in from the left, right-footed, low delivery, hits the Villa wall and goes behind, off one of those attacking Crystal Palace players, now for a goal kick. That was disappointing, given the big build-up.
Said about one great strike away from 2-0, and that was a really poor strike. I mean, he did miss the wall, but he hit it straight at his own player. And he knows, hands on his head. That was a wonderful opportunity. I wouldn't say to put this game to bed. There's still plenty of time left. 40 minutes plus injury time, but Villa don't look quite at it tonight.
And you wonder if the exertion of that late win on the weekend have taken their toll, but they're into the penalty area. And what an equaliser that is! Morgan Rogers denied by the offside flag in the first half, not to be denied in the second. It was all his own work. Route 1 in many ways, but brilliant footwork from Rogers to make the scoring opportunity and to find the bottom corner. Palace 1, Villa 1. That one will count.
Well, this is a player that I've seen a lot this season, and I genuinely think not only should he be in the England squad, but actually he's close to being a starter. He's absolutely sensational. It is just a long ball. It's come from nowhere. Good flick on from Ollie Watkins. And
what a finish that is.
Do you know what? There's enough Palace defenders there to try and deal with that, and yet he's the one who's got there first. He's got in front of one defender. He's turned the other, Chris Richards, and then he's just on his swivel, on his left foot, just turned in one motion and one strike, giving Dean Henderson no chance whatsoever. What a goal that is from him. Route 1, but who cares?
Yeah, Olsen with a punt upfield, Watkins with a header down, and then Rogers. Brilliant with the finish. And here's Watkins. He's sent him behind the Palace defence. They could be 2-1 up in double quick time. The offside flag's up and he puts it wide anyway, Ollie Watkins.
Well, just as we were saying, they've been poor and they've been off it. And that's what happens. And actually, do you know what? Sometimes just go long. Go long. That's what Olsen did.
Well, that will do him the world of good, having come on for Martinez at half-time. And, well, what a second half we have now. Palace 1, Villa 1. Morgan Rogers belatedly gets his 7th for the season in front of Thomas Tuchel, the England manager. And Munoz here trying to put Luca Digne under pressure. Digne cushions the ball back to Olsen, scoops it over the head of the Palace wing back and then nodded on by Digne to Ramsey on this near side. Can't keep the ball in play. Palace have a throw. Well, we expected a pretty tight contest. We're getting one. Assar managed to stay onside here. Yes, he is. Picks the ball up by the corner flag. Good challenge by Digne. Plays it against the Palace man. It's going to be a goal kick for Villa. It stays 1-1.
Yeah, when these things happen now, when a goal comes out of nowhere. And boy,
really
was
did, didn't it?
Yeah, boy, was it Route 1, but it really doesn't matter. They all count. And then suddenly little ones where you kick it against the attacker and the fans aren't happy that it was a goal kick, it wasn't a corner. Suddenly the whole psychology of the game changes.
Big second half now here on Talksport 2, and it's the Villa fans whose voices are filling the South London air. Here's Ezer though, running towards the penalty area as he overcooked it, finds Mateta with the effort deflected behind. Flag goes up anyway. Free kick for Aston Villa. My initial reaction was that Mateta was offside when he picked up the ball.
Yeah, I understand why the flags go up late, but it is really annoying, isn't it? It's a couple of times now just in the last few minutes. I'm just seeing a picture of Glasner and well, he'll be disappointed. I mean, I don't think they deserve to go in 1-0 up, but when you are 1-0 up and seemingly pretty much in control, it's just a poor goal to concede. If there'd been a bit of brilliance, like the goal that was conceded but given offside, that's a really good run from Ollie Watkins and a really good follow-up from Morgan Rogers. Could still pick faults with it, but that was just route one, flick on, turn, shoot.
And suddenly, Villa looking a lot more confident coming forward. Ramsey carrying the ball over halfway, up against Wharton. So he plays it back to Yuri Tillemans, the ex-Leicester City man. McGinn with the low ball back into Ramsey. He's got away from Richards. And there might be another opportunity here as the ball is crossed in towards Watkins. Took a deflection and then helped behind by Richards for a Villa corner. Unai Emery very animated down on the touchline. His opposite number, Oliver Glasner, by the way, celebrated a year since his first game in charge yesterday. That was a 3-0 win over Burnley.
He's done great, hasn't he, since he's come in last season and this.
They've got defending to do from the corner. Tillemans towards the far post. Disasi attacks it and can only flick the ball behind for a goal kick. They started the season in pretty disappointing fashion, bearing in mind how well they ended last, but they've won 6 of the last 8, Crystal Palace. Eyes on the top half of the table once again, which would be job done as far as Steve Parish, the owner, is concerned.
Oh, absolutely. Well, look, when you think about the impact he made, but also the players that he had, no one quite saw that ending coming, but start of this season was foreseeable.
Great play by Mateta, holding off Bogard. Ball played into the area. Conser there ahead of Sarri, got clipped from behind. It'll be a free kick for Villa inside their own 18-yard box. It stays 1-1 here. Elsewhere tonight, over on Talksport, Chelsea leading Southampton by a goal to 0. 1-1 early stage of the second half at Molineux. In fact, Fulham have taken the lead again there. Wolves 1, Fulham 2 is the score. Rodrigo Muniz with it in the early stages of that second half, and Brighton lead Bournemouth 1-0.
Yeah, I say it was foreseeable with Crystal Palace because, you know, players are playing in the Euros, the Copa America, the Olympics. Players had gone. Michael Olise, but also Joachim Andersen. You know, big personalities.
There was also a suggestion that maybe they were a bit fortunate with the fixtures at the end of last season. They're playing a lot of teams with not much riding on them, but they still had to win the games. Wharton forward to Ezer. Ezer on the edge of the area, shoots, deflected behind corner.
Well, I think he actually could have passed if he'd have looked up. There was a couple of Palace players to his right. And when you're Ebery Eze and the skill and talent you've got, and you're just in that inside left position, just coming into the box, why not have a go? But it's good defending, really good defending. I think there he just needs a trick or lay it off. Going to be difficult to score from there.
I think we're going to get more goals in this game in the final half an hour. As Crystal Palace make a change, Jefferson Lerma is coming on, and well, we sort of predicted this when Will Hughes picked up that booking midway through the first half. He's going to miss the next 2 games through suspension as a result of that. And Jefferson Lerma is on for his 50th Premier League appearance in a Palace shirt. Like for like, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, he's not a bad replacement, is he, for Will Hughes, who has done great. Interesting, Adam Wharton is going to stay on. This might have not been perhaps 100% match fit, but perhaps that yellow card, has thought, you know what, I want to shore things up in midfield, so I'll take Hughes off.
Eze with a corner. It's going to be delivered right-footed from the left-hand side. Lerma attacks it, having only just arrived to the scene. Wharton with a volley into the ground, and it bounces wide. Caused a bit of confusion there, Jefferson Lerma.
Well, that's what set pieces are designed to do, for sure, and that's what Palace would have wanted. And look, be careful saying this, because it probably will end up 1-1 then, but you get the feeling there are more goals in this game.
Tranmere fallen behind at home to Accrington Stanley in League 2. 1 or 2 whispers that Nigel Adkins, the Tranmere manager, could be under pressure. That result won't help him. Well, that looked a poor challenge by Ramsey on Sarr. Play continues. Mateta picks it up inside the area, and he scored again. Jean-Philippe Mateta with a left foot rocket into the bottom corner. It's his 15th goal of the season, and credit to the referee Sam Barrett, because it was definitely a foul on Ismaila Sarr. May even be a possible red card check here, but he let play continue, and Mateta puts Palace in front. The man who can't stop scoring has found the net once again. Palace 2, Aston Villa 1.
But again, it's almost as if that goal has come out from nowhere. But, well done to Palace for the pressing that they did. Villa trying to play out from the back. I think it was Eberezer who was just sort of nudged over. I mean, a 50-50 whether that would have been given or not. But Mateta said, no, give me the ball. I don't care. Referee, you don't have to make a decision. I'm on my left foot, and I'm still going to whip it around one defender and give Robin Olsen no chance whatsoever.
Now, I've not really seen a replay yet. Sarr is still down. My initial reaction, Scott, is that the challenge, I think it was Jacob Ramsey, looked quite similar to the one that Zabani was sent off for Bournemouth against Wolves at the weekend.
Well, if it is, then you're looking for consistency. I was kind of following the ball and I didn't quite see it. And it was a
brilliant advantage by the referee.
It was.
2 advantages,
absolutely.
Potentially.
Again, well done to Adam Wharton, because he saw that pass inside the box. A great run from Eze. It was kind of bundled over, but I'm not 100% sure if that would have been given, if it was a definite penalty. As I say, Mateta's just picked up the ball on his left foot. First touch with his left foot, second touch, bang. Have some of that.
Sarr is back on his feet, but still not moving particularly freely. Referee Sam Barrett, I think he's going to show a yellow card here, is he, to Jacob Ramsey for the challenge. No card at all, so maybe my eyes were deceiving me when I first saw it. We've not watched the replay yet. Sarr certainly felt the force of the challenge, but Palace, their credit, played on. Here we go. It's similar, but he doesn't quite catch him with the same force that Zabani did.
No, there's nothing in that for me. I know what you mean when you first saw it, but looking on the replay, it's a genuine attempt to play the ball. But well done, Palace, for pressing. Villa trying to play football in a position where they can't. Palace had numbers down that right-hand side and was able just to win the ball back quickly. Wharton, 1-2 touch, bang, straight into the box. Eze down, Mateta takes over. Goal, 2-1.
It's now 5 goals in 8 appearances against Aston Villa for Jean-Philippe Mateta. Only Mo Salah has scored more goals this calendar year. He is a player oozing confidence, as he showed with the finish. And here's Eze in behind the Aston Villa defence. His touch took him wide. Still got it inside the penalty area, Eze. Mateta lurking on the edge of the box, but Villa have got plenty of white jerseys back behind the ball, and they're able to bring it clear. Better first touch, and Villa could have been in big trouble again. Here's Eze, still Palace on the front foot. Many of the home crowd on their feet inside this iconic old arena. Offside flag up against Eze. Free kick Villa. It stays Palace 2, Villa 1.
Yeah, absolutely. If it was a better first touch from Eze. Well, what a first time pass from Adam Wharton.
He's having a great game.
Do you know what? We didn't even see it up here, and yet he saw that with a peripheral vision and the ability just to think the ball over the top. Fantastic pass. We're sure all Palace fans and certainly all England fans want to see him fit, playing regularly.
Free kick kindly given Villa's way for a foul by Lerma on McGinn. An opportunity for Aston Villa to clear their lines. You're listening to Crystal Palace versus Villa on Talksport 2 with Sky Sports. Don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on Now. Search Now Sports. And after a pretty drab opening half an hour or so, Scott, this has been a lively old affair.
Yeah, it's a really good game of football now. Villa have come back into it for almost from nowhere. Palace has to go, no, we're going to go back ahead again, and now Villa have got to come out. Palace only know how to play to one way. It's an open game.
Oh, neat from Villa. Rodgers trying to play it into the penalty area, finding Ramsey. Ramsey under a tangle of legs goes down. Well, the Villa players surrounding Sam Barrett. My initial reaction is that he was waiting for contact, but it looked a bit clumsy from Munoz. Didn't get the ball, Scott.
No, but you know what? He's not even trying for the ball. And as Ramsey just brings back his left foot, he's behind him. He catches Munoz. For me, that's not a foul. And I'm not just saying that being in the fullback union.
Well, VAR have had a look at it and decided that it isn't a foul. Munoz whipping up the fans on the back of that.
And do you know what, Crookie? I think that would be a disgrace if it was overturned, even if some thought it was a foul. The whole point of VAR is not to get every decision right, it's to stop the clear and obvious errors. the rest is subjective. Leave it to the referee.
Yeah, that phrase clear and obvious banding around a lot of the weekend, particularly after that penalty given and then taken away to Everton in their game against Manchester United. I know Bournemouth were unhappy with the Zabani red card, not so much that it was a red card, but that it was given by VAR, not by the on-field official. They did appeal, that was rejected, so Zabani absent tonight and his team seemed to be missing him. A goal down at Brighton, Fulham leading 2-1 at Wolves, and it's Chelsea 1, Southampton over on Talksport right now. Here's Ezer, Palace 2-1 up here. Munoz has made a run into the centre. Ezer bypassed him, he was looking for Mateta. He was mopped up well
by that well-known sweeper Leon Bailey.
I was going to say, I had to do a double take there. It was Bailey, wasn't it? Credit to him, he tracked his man. Chelsea 2 up against arguably the worst team the Premier League has ever seen in Southampton. Pedro Neto with the second.
You can't just give a full compliment to Chelsea, can you?
I think Southampton are terrible. Not only should they be relegated, they should be banished from the Premier League for the next 10 years. They've stunk the place out.
They speak highly of you.
They really don't. Here is Olsen, the Aston Villa goalkeeper. Marcus Rashford about to come on. He made quite the impact, didn't he, off the bench at the weekend. And Marco Asensio, the man who benefited from those 2 Rashford assists to win the game against Chelsea, is also being readied. Double change for Villa, who trail 2-1.
Yeah, he has to. They're coming back into the game at 1-1. Fair play. Let's see how it goes and see if you can go on and win the game. But now you're 2-1 down. There's been a few minutes now since that goal. Needs to try and change things.
By the way, we do this last man standing competition. You're into the last 3.
Yeah.
Why did you pick West Ham when you had Chelsea at home to Southampton?
Because I've got Chelsea next up. Chelsea have got Leicester next up. I did a U. I looked ahead this time.
Okay.
So I took the liberty of thinking, okay, do you know what, honestly, I think Leicester are as bad as Southampton.
Yeah.
The table doesn't suggest that in terms of the amount of points, but I think what I see with my eyes, they are right now.
Yeah, you may be right. They go to West Ham on Thursday in our 300th commentary of the season, live on Talksport. The changes, by the way, Ollie Watkins is going to make way for Rashford and Ramsey replaced by Asensio, but Villa on the attack here. Ball played into the penalty area, it's cleared behind by Lacroix, so Emery I think is maybe just going to delay these changes.
Yeah, it's a great little run in the box from Leon Bailey. That's where he wants to be, not playing sweeper, just showing inside outside which way you're going to go, in between Mitchell and Eze, and in the end it's good defending from Lacroix.
Palace 2, Villa 1, 67 minutes played here on Talksport 2. Stoke have fallen behind again at home to Middlesbrough. Finn Azaz as the ball is played in and headed goalwards by Aston Villa, and it's clipped the top of the crossbar. That was Ezri Konsa with a header at the near post. Decent opening.
Yeah, again, when you're not playing well, use set pieces. You've got a great left foot with John McGinn, and that was. It's a really good ball in. It's a very good flick on. And it's just clipped the top of the bar.
Big goal for Cardiff at home to Hull, down at the bottom of the Championship. Callum Robertson has made it 1-0 to the Bluebirds, and Bournemouth have equalised live on the Talksport app. Justin Kluivert, the goal scorer. It's Brighton 1, Bournemouth 1, Gillingham 1, Fleetwood 2 is the latest score from League 2. And Wigan 2-1 up now on over Huddersfield down in League 1. Those double changes have been made, so Rashford is going to play, I think, through the middle, is he? No, he's gone wide left. Asensio up top.
Well, I think it's Morgan Rogers who's gone up top.
You had the binoculars out, so I'll take your eyesight test.
Yeah, Asensio just gone to the right.
Rashford is going to occupy that left wing position that he prefers to play from, on loan from Manchester United. Looks reborn early in his Aston Villa career. Here's Munoz for Palace. Wharton up against Rashford, having to defend. Lacroix well forward from the back. He's going to shoot left-footed, blocked by Bogard on the edge of the box. Still 2-1 Palace.
Yeah, just waiting to see how they're sort of lining up and where Liam Bailey's going to play. Because it does look like Morgan Rogers is the guy who's furthest forward. There's Rashford and Asensio in behind as like the 2 10s.
3-0 to Chelsea before half-time. Levi Colwill, who is a boyhood Southampton fan, has just scored against the team that he followed as a youngster. It's just embarrassing, isn't it?
What number could it be?
Not sure where they found Ivan Juric, to be honest.
Producer Izzy saying 7th.
And Chelsea are not in great form,
calling you out
know.
there, I know. I said before the game, this is a really important one. Get back to winning ways.
Clark plays the ball back to his goalkeeper Henderson. Palace 20 minutes away from victory here, and it will be a big dent to Aston Villa's hopes of finishing in the top 5 and qualifying for the Champions League for a second season running. You feel they're going to get chances now, though. Tielemans looking for Rashford, well defended by Richards, who tracked the run, and a lovely little Cruyff turn from Lerma inside his own half. The Palace fans enjoyed that one. Eze grappling with Disasi, was being held onto by Axel Disasi. It's a free kick from Palace 5 yards inside their own half.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of a 3 at the back again, with Liam Bailey playing right wing back and Luca Dean playing left wing back.
I mean, it's just basically chuck as many attackers out there as we can and hope that something happens.
For the great Sir Alex Ferguson, did it?
He did. But it does leave them vulnerable on the counter-attack. And here's Munoz trying to exploit that, and they're outnumbered, Villa. Munoz into the penalty area, he's looking for Eze. Couldn't quite find him, Konsa blocks it away.
He just needed a player earlier.
Here he is again, Munoz, right-footed cross from this near touchline, cleared as far as Wharton. Brilliant piece of chest control. I can't tell you how impressed I've been with Wharton tonight. Munoz, ball into the area, swept in by Sarr. He has his second. Palace have their third, and surely now a first home win in the Premier League since October. Crystal Palace 3, Aston Villa 1. It's a lovely cushion finish into the far corner. Sarr at the double.
Yeah, but you're right to mention Adam Wharton as well. He just reads the game so well, doesn't he? The real class players seem to play at their pace and know where to go as well. And it started from him initially when it came back. Just a little chest, brings it down and plays the ball out wide. They're looking for a potential offside. I don't think there is. And Munoz has crossed the ball, but he's gone back a little bit. So all the Villa players have gone back as well. But Sarr's just held his run a little bit, just stood still. Sometimes you can find space just by standing still. But then he's still got to get the finish in. And it's a volley that's about waist high. And he's side-footed it. He's used the pace of the cross and he's got it towards the far post, again giving Robin Olsen no chance whatsoever. No Villa players got close to him because he's held his run. That's a big goal in the context of the game. We've got less than 20 minutes to go. A 2-goal gap now. And it does look like Crystal Palace, despite them being really poor at home this season, are going to get a win.
And those changes that Unai Emery made to get Villa back into the game did leave them a little short defensively. Palace, to their credit, taking advantage. There is yet another VAR check. I think, is it against Munoz in the build-up?
Yes it is. I mean, they need to go back. They're looking at a different replay of just a volley going in. I don't know why they're doing that, to be honest. No one's offside in that position.
I think this one will stand.
Yeah, I mean, sounds like it will.
Yeah. Villa restart the game. 17 minutes for their plethora of replacement attackers to somehow try and pull it out the fire here. Arguably one of Palace's best home performances of the season.
Yeah. Well, when you look at their home record, it's not been good.
Here's Luca Digne coming forward for Villa, looking for Rashford. Munoz does well. Richards completes the clearance, and Munoz, the Colombian, finds Lerma. He was then tripped by Tielemans. Referee didn't spot it. Play continues with Eze, and they're wide open again here, Aston Villa. And Mateta into Sarr. Is it the hat-trick? He's put it wide. Olsen came out and narrowed the angle. Sarr couldn't find the bottom corner. But if Villa keep playing like this, Scott, Palace is just going to pick them off.
Well, where they looked more than solid in the first half, starting with a 3 at the back, and we talked about how just chucking on attacking players, it's not working from a defensive point of view. And every time Crystal Palace are on the attack, on the counter-attack, they look dangerous and about to score. And you're right to call it, is it for his hat-trick? I'm sure that would have been in his head, and maybe it just put him off a little bit because it wasn't the best of finishes, but what an opportunity.
It's currently Crystal Palace 3, Aston Villa 1. For the latest odds, head to William Hill, the official betting partner of Talksport 2's Premier League coverage. Right now, Palace 1-20 to win the game. Villa to complete what would be an unlikely comeback, 55-1. The draw available at 12-1. That's all thanks to William Hill, 18+, gambleaware.org. John McGinn is treading a fine line, isn't he, in terms of a yellow card, because he's just committing another foul there on Wharton.
Yeah, Wharton has just been excellent, hasn't he? McGinn just a little bit short there.
Big spending Birmingham take the lead over Leyton Orient. Big game in League One. Taylor Gardner-Hickman has broken the deadlock there. A reminder elsewhere over on Talksport, Chelsea 3-up over Southampton. Heading into half-time. In fact, the half-time whistle has just blown. Brighton 1, Bournemouth 1. You can listen to that game on the Talksport app, and it's Wolves 1, Fulham 2. That game available on Talk Radio. What a brilliant start to a manic midweek in the Premier League. Certainly if you're a Palace fan. Lacroix brings it down inside the area, couldn't pick out a teammate, and Marcus Rashford will run it clear for Villa. They've got 15 minutes to get back in the game. They trail 3-1. Rodgers with a little scoop pass forward, and Rashford's rounding Henderson, his former teammate, cuts it back inside the 6-yard box, and it's cleared away.
What a ball from Morgan Rodgers. I mean, he received it and he was able to turn in one touch and just with the outside of his boot play it in behind the Crystal Palace defence. Rashford did well just getting in front of Henderson, but he was well too wide, and then you're asking for other players to follow it in. Palace got enough defenders back to clear.
Here's John McGinn still driving his team forward. Villa attacking the goal away to our left. Bogard helps it out to Digne in the left wing position. Back to Yuri Tillemans. Here's Bogard again. Ezri Compson forward to McGinn, trying to turn away from Jefferson Lerma. What's happened there is Lerma gives away the foul. He's just replaced Will Hughes in terms of, I'm going to have a scrap with McGinn as well.
I'll be the one who fouls.
McGinn with a punt into the penalty area. Digne was the most advanced of Villa players, but it scoops away from him and behind for a goal kick. It stays 3-1 to Crystal Palace.
Do you know what? You made the point, and I think you're spot on. That it's one thing to put on attacking players, but they just seem to completely have lost their shape as a team. And that's why Palace look dangerous every single time they attack. And it's only been the last minute or so where Marcus Rashford just nipped in front of Dean Henderson, but wasn't able to. The angle was too tight to get the ball in the back of the net. Just. They look like there are a bunch of individuals out there now.
More changes afoot for both sides. Looks like Daichi Kamada is going to come on for Crystal Palace. Villa readying Ian Martson. Brighton back in front against Bournemouth. Danny Welbeck has made it 2-1. With time running out in that South Coast showdown, it definitely isn't a derby. Adam Wharton getting a standing ovation from the Palace fans, richly deserved, as he's replaced by the Japanese international Kamada. And it's Luca Digne who makes way for Martson.
Well, he's been brilliant, Adam Wharton, hasn't he? I'm not surprised he hasn't lasted the 90 minutes. He doesn't need to. It's pretty much job done, or it should be anyway. It should be. Definitely need to wrap him up in cotton wool to make sure that he stays fit as long as possible.
It's going to take some twist in the towel, isn't it, for Villa to come back into this game, especially as Palace look dangerous still every time they come forward. Conser into McGinn, dispossessed by Kamada, but the rebound falls kindly for Disasi. There's Asensio turning neatly away from trouble, the Spaniard, and picking out Tillemans. Tillemans to Bailey on the overlap. Can he pick out a teammate in the centre? This would be a good Aston Villa goal, but well defended by Richards, I think, sliding in to make the intervention. 11 minutes to go. Palace 3, Villa 1 on Talksport 2. Don't forget Talksport 2 this time tomorrow night. Spurs against Manchester City. Scott Minto will be there at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Villa looking for a route back into the game, but they've given it away on the edge of the penalty area away to our left, and it's cleared up to Mateta. Brilliant hold-up play from him again. He was fouled, but the referee looks to play the advantage. Munoz, first touch, knocks it away from Martson. He's got Eze at the far post. He just didn't quite get the cross right. Curls it out of play for a goal kick.
Well, I'm not quite sure what that was, because it was a cross. There's no way that Eze was going to get anywhere near that. think it was probably a little bit of a shot, or maybe it was a full-back stroke wing-back who was extremely tired. I'll tell you what, he's done really well, and I think he's underrated. He's a really good player. He can get up and down. He can play that wing-back position arguably more than Tyreek Mitchell can on the other side. I'll wait to see when Ben Chilwell gets fit what's going to happen there, but he's a really, really good acquisition.
He's got goals in his armoury as well, Munoz, as we've seen this season. Here's Tielemans into the last 10 minutes on Talksport 2. Villa 3-1 down away from home against a Palace side with a wretched home record this season. McGinn into Disasi, who steps out over halfway. Back to McGinn again. But all a little bit one pace from Villa at the moment. Palace defending deep, content to let the visitors have possession, not an area where they can do any real damage. Olsen, the goalkeeper, will play it short, out to the edge of the box. Tielemans forward, finding Morgan Rogers, scorer of the Aston Villa goal. Out to Martson in the left wing-back position. Martson comes in field for Yuri Tielemans. Tielemans looking for the run of Asensio. Cleared away, but picked up by Bailey. Inside the box, Leon Bailey. Bailey with a left-footed effort, blocked by Gay. Bailey just about keeping the ball in play on the far side, having been guilty of a heavy touch, but he's given possession back to Palace and Kamada. Looks like Oliver Glasner has Unai Emery exactly where he wants him at the moment. Villa in possession again though with Tielemans. Rashford wearing the number 9. Midway inside the Palace half. Plays it out to Bailey. It was a poor ball, and Bailey rugby tackling Mark Gay. He's going to get a yellow card, but really that just came about because he was played into trouble by Rashford.
Yeah. He's got no arguments at all. And it's a side that knows, I wouldn't say know that they're beaten, but just finding it really difficult now. The Palace weren't playing well early in the first half. Now they look dangerous on the attack, certainly on the counter-attack, and they look really solid defensively. They can play the game at their pace and be compact, organised, and try and break us down. And at this moment in time, Villa just not able to.
You're listening to Crystal Palace against Aston Villa on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day. 8 minutes to go. Palace 3, Aston Villa 1. Villa 13 points off where they were at this stage last season. It looks like they're going to drop 3 more here, as Rashford is forced to run the ball out of play for a Palace throw. Right down in front of us in the main stand here at Selhurst Park, which is still packed to the rafters late in the game. Munoz just gaining an extra couple of yards before throwing the ball short to Sarr, the 2-goal hero for Palace. Mateta on the score sheet as well, and here's Sarr into the area, trying to get himself into a shooting position. It's not clear yet. Munoz has been brought down. The referee flagging for offside, as Palace were asking for a penalty. Free kick, Villa.
Yeah, he's enjoying himself though, Munoz, isn't he? A little nutmeg by the touchline, followed his run and was just slightly offside. Palace fans believing there was a penalty, but once the pass was made, then he's offside and it doesn't matter what happened. Palace on top, and do you know what? If there's going to be another goal, it looks like it's still going to come from Palace.
Yeah, it just looks like a game too far, doesn't it, for Aston Villa after their heroics against Liverpool last midweek. A hard-fought victory at home to Chelsea, and that has been the issue across the course of the season, actually. Putting together a consistent run of results, particularly on the back of European games. They'll play Club Brugge in the Champions League first leg live on Talksport 2 next Tuesday night.
Yeah, and
I think an FA Cup game at home to Cardiff before then. You would expect Unai Emery to make a few changes for that one.
Yeah, no, sorry, absolutely, and he'd have to. I mean, he would, even if it was a Premier League game. I mean, he could certainly look at it even just in terms of this performance. And it's disappointing because, look, let's get the cliche of it's a difficult place to come, Selhurst Park. Just look how bad Crystal Palace have been form-wise or results-wise at home this season. So, at this moment in time, now they haven't gone anywhere in the league, and they've played 2 games more than Manchester City and Newcastle, and a game more than Chelsea and Bournemouth and Brighton. And Fulham.
Yeah, Brighton 2-1 up on Bournemouth into the final few minutes there. Newcastle go to Liverpool tomorrow. City in London to take on Tottenham. Big games coming thick and fast on the Talksport network this midweek. Sarr again goes down under a challenge. It's going to be a free kick. He's not one to get back to his feet quickly, is he, when he's been fouled?
He's gone down a few times, hasn't he? Looks like he's holding his hamstring in the way that you did when you finished your run and then limped home.
Yeah, pulled up a little earlier today. Halfway through a 5k.
You were 100 yards into a 5k, weren't you?
Mile and a half into it. I had to limp a mile and a half back home.
Have you got witnesses?
Thankfully,
you got an
no.
Uber home.
I actually rang the wife to say, can you come and pick me up, please? I'm struggling.
And she said no.
Eddie and Nketiah are about to come on for Palace for the final 5 minutes plus added time. 3-1 they lead. Eze, good ball into the area, punched away by Robin Olsen. Not sure if the ironic cheers are from the Palace fans or the Villa supporters.
Well, he didn't get the best of punches on it, did he? Cleanness. It just came off it like Superman, and yet come off the side of his knuckle.
Stoke City 3-1 down now at home to Middlesbrough. Tommy Conway has got the visitors' third, and there won't be a hat-trick for Ismaila Sarr tonight. He had the chance, didn't he, that he put wide, but his 2 goals absolutely vital to this Crystal Palace victory, and he is given a big ovation as he makes way for Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah, he'd certainly say to himself, job well done. Fans all on their feet, giving him a round of applause, and rightly so. 2 goals in a 3-1 win at the moment. First one, right place, right time, striker's finish for sure. We felt it was an important one, but Villa did come back into it. His second goal was a wonderful strike in terms of his technique. Just watching the ball come in from the right, and Munoz's cross, not an easy one to deal with it. Did it on the volley, guided it to the far post, giving Olsen no chance whatsoever. And that goal, I think, not only did it give them great belief they can win this game, but I think it made sure that Villa didn't believe that they could get anything out of this game.
Unai Emery is in a very animated conversation with the 4th official down below us. I'm not entirely sure what he's so agitated about, the Aston Villa manager. Good luck to Ollie Klink when he speaks to him after the game. He's usually pretty placid, isn't he, even in defeat, Unai Emery, in fairness.
He's a classy guy, to be fair.
It's been a classy performance from so many in Crystal Palace jerseys tonight. They lead 3-1. We've got 3 minutes plus added time to go. And it's Palace streaming forward again. Nketiah upended free kick. 5 yards inside Villa territory.
Clever play coming on, just running with the ball, waiting for the touch, getting the touch, going down, killing the game. Game management.
He's not scored a Premier League goal for Palace yet, Eddie Nketiah, since he's moved from Arsenal in the summer. It's been difficult for him, in fairness, because they only really play with one striker, and that one striker, Mateta, is in blistering form. Wonder if some of the big boys will be looking at him in the summer, Scott.
Possibly. I mean, he finished the season really well under Glasner, didn't he? But you wonder whether that was just a good streak, but he certainly carried it on this season. He looks a player, he looks powerful, isn't he? Big, strong, and most importantly, a really good finisher.
As he's shown already once this evening. Konsa flicking the ball away from Nketiah, wasn't happy with the challenge. Ezri Konsa, bit of needle as the free kick is taken. Leon Bailey here hasn't been able to make the impact that Unai Emery would have wanted when he called him off the bench at half-time. Plays the ball back to Disasi. Those ultras behind the goal, many of them topless, on a fairly chilly evening in South London, are bouncing around, singing their Crystal Palace songs. We've not had too much cause for celebration at home this season, but this has been a really good night for Oliver Glasner. Palace up to 12th in the table as it stands. Villa down to 10th as a result of Brighton leading Bournemouth 2-1. There's the final stages there. Munoz penalised for a foul on Konsa. He stays down just to waste a few valuable seconds at the end of the 90.
It's interesting, isn't it? That Villa's next few games, FA Cup, Champions League. Obviously they've got Brentford away in between. That won't be easy. They'll certainly be thinking about the Club Brugge second leg, possible quarter-final of the Cup as well. And then it's Brighton away, Forest at home, Southampton away, Newcastle at home, City away. Up to the end of April. Not easy games, and so I just feel this is a missed opportunity. Palace have done well second half, but needed to come here at the very least to get a point, if not all three.
Feels like a big win for Brighton tonight as well, continuing their good recent form on the back of that 7-0 bashing at Forest. Reacted really well. Villa are going to have to react to this as they are stopped with the offside flag. Free kick for Palace. We've got 6 added minutes at the end of the 90. This will be Palace's 3rd Premier League home win only this season. Of course, historically, Selhurst Park has been such a difficult place to go for visiting teams.
By the way, with Ollie's doing post-match, does that mean you just only half an invoice today, yeah? Shooting off with the fans.
Right, hopefully I'll be halfway home by the time you finish at 10 over on Talk Radio, but I'm not sure with the traffic that's going to be feasible. Here's Kamada. Palace looking for a 4th at the end of the game. Into the penalty area. Mitchell does really well to dig the ball out from under his feet, and Eddie Nketiah taps in his first Premier League goal in Palace colours to crown a perfect night for the Eagles in front of those ultras. It is Palace 4, Aston Villa 1.
Well, I'm not quite sure it's a 4-1 game, but certainly in the second half, Crystal Palace have just stepped it up once they were pulled back to 1-1, and you can see how the Crystal Palace players understand. They know it's his first Premier League goal, and they're all getting around him and giving him a little push to say well done. I mean, really good play from Kamada first of all. Tyreek Mitchell looked like he kind of lost the ball, but that's what you get when you've got a winger playing wing back. Doesn't quite know how to make a tackle. It's a great ball fizzed in, and Eddie Nketiah, like the good striker that I think he is, gets himself in the right place and therefore makes it a really easy finish, 2 yards out. What a ball that was for Mitchell.
And before finding the net there, Eddie Nketiah had more shots in the Premier League this season than any other player without managing to get on the score sheet. He has now. And these Villa players just want to get back on the bus, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Start making their way back to the Midlands.
No, they need the game to end sooner rather than later. Again, it's still Palace with the ball, and
it's going to mean their last 2 visits to Selhurst Park have ended with an aggregate score of 9-1.
Blimey. I mean, look, last season was understandable. This one, not so.
Nketiah trying to put pressure on the Villa back line again, and a foul by Munoz and a free kick in the left back position that Martson will take. We are halfway through 6 added minutes, so still time maybe for more Palace goals. Certainly does the goal difference the world of good as well. They're into plus figures now, Palace, which they weren't at the start of the night. +2 as a result of this 4-1 victory. Always looks better for a manager, doesn't it, when you get rid of the minus next to your goals column.
And Aston Villa's -5. That's incredible, isn't it?
And that is comfortably the lowest in the top half of the Premier League. Bailey trying to change that with what would be no more than a consolation strike as he comes forward into the area. 4-1 Palace here on Talksport 2. Certainly going to have to go down as one of Palace's best nights of the season. Perfect way for Oliver Glasner to bring up a year in the dugout.
Well, when you think about it, the 2 wins before this were Southampton and Spurs.
One little negative at the end of the game, though. Mark Gay is down. Is this just wasting time, or is it actually indicating he might have to come off, Gay?
Yeah, no, it's not wasting time. He doesn't need to do that. The game's won.
And he looks really upset as well, doesn't he?
He's definitely saying a substitution needs to be made. He can't carry on when he's up and walking, but
It's not worth the risk, is it?
Listen, I don't care if they've made all the subs, which they haven't, but just walk off, don't get injured. The game is won. You can see this out with 10 men.
Yeah, 2 added minutes to play. 4-1 Palace lead. 2 from Ismail Assar. Mateta on the score sheet again, and Nketiah with his first Premier League goal for the club. Seemed a long time ago now, doesn't it? Morgan Rogers equalised early in the second half for Aston Villa. Ball crossed in by Asensio, cleared behind for a corner. So maybe one last opportunity for the visitors.
There'll be nothing more than a consolation. It's not been good enough for Villa in the second half. I thought the tactics were interesting and actually worked in the first 10-15 minutes. But this second half, Crystal Palace just stepped it up.